Okay, so here is another model that we'll look at, and this is one that you can use to write about as well. So remember yesterday when we looked at the BCG matrix, and BCG stands for Boston Consulting Group, and they're located in the great state of Massachusetts, in the city of Boston. They are a world renowned consulting company. Well, so is this organization as well. It's McKinsey. I think it's McKinsey Group, McKinsey Consulting, I think. Uh, they're also a consulting group, world renowned. And guess what? They're also based in the great state of Massachusetts, in the great city of Boston. And what they're using here is this is the model that they use to execute on strategy, right? And so when they're executing on strategy, they look at 7 different elements when they're doing strategy execution and as well as evaluation. Uh, this strategy consists of what is it? 3 hard elements and what are called 4 soft elements. Okay. So number one, you start with the strategy, right? The strategy is the plan uh, that helps the company to maintain its competitive advantage over its rivals, right? And we've been talking about that since yesterday. There's different things a part of the strategy. We talked about Hertzberg's uh, 5 Ps. We've talked about differentiation. We've talked about positioning. We've talked about segmentation. But whatever that strategy is that the company is going to be using to win over its rivals. So that's one of the S's. The second S is the structure. Remember yesterday, we looked at the different types of structure. We had simple organizational structure. We had simple. We had functional. We had metrics. I forgot who gave us that today. Someone mentioned we had the mechanistic, and we had the what was the other one? The mechanistic and the can't remember. I can't think. Mechanistic and the organic. But that this is part of it as well. Why is that? Why is that important? Because the organization has to be structured in such a way that that it would allow it to execute on the strategy, right? If the strategy requires to move quickly, then guess what? The organization needs to be maybe a matrix organization. It needs to be more organic. It needs to maybe have a wide span of control. Because if they're moving quickly, you won't have time. I think we looked at the multi-divisional structure yesterday. And one comment that we got was that, hey, that structure, guess what? There were some disadvantages, but some advantages were they were able to move quickly because it was sort of a company inside of a company. And so if the strategy involves moving quickly, taking market share, da 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 da, the structure has got to be set up in such a way, org structure, that the company is able to respond. The second S are systems. Now, when we say systems, we don't just mean software systems. What we mean, the processes, the procedures, essentially how work gets done, how things get approved, how information flows within the organization, all that matters as well when we talk about systems, right? And so that's another factor that goes into it. Now, here's one that's interesting. It's got style as well. Now, it's interesting that this has taken into account uh, the leader style, how the leaders work, perform, and interact with uh, employees within the organization. This factors in as well. This matters as well because they understand that the leader will impact the employees. And we got that coming up next. We remember one of the measures we looked at was what? Employee satisfaction, right? If employees are disengaged, If there's no alignment, if the employees, that goal is not baked in into the hearts and mind of the employees, it's going to impact the strategy or achieving the strategy. So the style of the leadership is important. And there it is, employees. And I want you to notice there's that word again, KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities. Do we have the right staff? Does our staff have the right skills? Right? Do they have the right experience to help us execute on the strategy? Again, a strategy is nothing more than a plan on paper, but we need someone to execute on it, someone to take action on it. And so, do we have the right skills for our employees?